This is a book ball summary of the book How to Decide by Annie Duke. Do you know why you chose the blue mug over the red one? Or why you declined that job offer? Most decisions we make are based on guesswork because most people don't have a technique for making them. But no more. Today we are going to teach you how you can make better decisions and back these decisions. Welcome to the channel. Today we'll be reviewing Annie Duke's How to Decide, where she explains why we make the decisions we make, how we can make more robust decisions, and lots more, so stay tuned. We make choices every day, so it's important to understand how we make such choices and why we decide to go through with them. Annie Duke's How to Decide gives us an insight and recommends some things we can do to make better choices. Here's what she says. Number 1. We mistakenly use the quality of a result to assess the quality of a decision. The step we take to arrive at a decision is frequently overlooked. Say for instance, after accepting a new position, everything about it is wonderful. Nice co-workers, fulfilling work, and a hefty promotion after a year. Now compare this with another instance where you take a new position but get an opposite result. Unfulfilling work, unpleasant co-workers, and then losing the job after a year. Which job would you have considered a wiser decision? Definitely the first one. After all, you got to work on enjoyable projects, earned more money, and avoided being fired. But one thing you fail to observe is that this evaluation is fully dependent on the result of the decision. It doesn't really tell much about the choice itself. This is called resulting. Resulting is the process of assessing a decision's quality solely based on its outcome. It's also referred to as an outcome bias in psychology. This mental shortcut deceives us into overvaluing the part that luck played in the outcome, while undervaluing the part that a decision played. Resulting leads to repeating the same mistakes, so in order to start making better judgments, we must place a dependence on resulting. Number 2. Hindsight bias often changes our perception of a decision, making us accept a singular outcome as inevitable. Hindsight bias, also known as creeping determinism, is what happens when we persuade ourselves that a result was clear or predictable. This frequently modifies how we perceive a choice, leading us to embrace one possible outcome as inevitable. To reduce this bias in our future choices, we can utilize a straightforward technique called a knowledge tracker. But how do you do this? Make a note of the facts and opinions that went into your decision making before you make it. This will provide relevant specifics and circumstantial data. Make a note of every new piece of information you learned after making your decision, including what you know now and the outcome that has played out. You can identify any information that you overlooked and determine how much of a result was a result of our real decision by comparing this knowledge from before and after. Once you have done this for a number of judgments, you will have a feel of the typical symptoms and indicators of hindsight bias and learn how to recognize them in the real world. Number 3. You can't learn from your decisions if you don't gather enough sufficient data about them. One thing you should know is that you can never change the past. But in order to better ourselves as decision makers and comprehend how we have made judgments in the past, we must look back. If you don't collect enough information on your decisions, you can't learn from them. Before we can draw conclusions from our overall experiences, we need to gather data from a variety of decisions. You only have a sample size of one if you think a decision is a single phenomena with a single fixed outcome. Then there is only one case to draw lessons from, and the quality of your data is restricted. You can use your imagination to generate additional what-if scenarios in order to gather more data. This is called counterfactual thinking, and it's a useful tool for understanding our experiences. Number 4. The 6-step method helps us reduce bias and make more informed decisions. We can eliminate preconception and improve decision-making by using the 6-step process. First, select a factor to be taken into account, and then generate a range of logical possibilities. Next, list the advantages and disadvantages of each outcome. Then, estimate each outcome's probability. Next, contrast the likelihood of each favourable outcome with the unfavourable ones. Fifth, for all other concerns, repeat steps 1 through to 4 in order. And finally, before making your ultimate choice, weigh the desires, rewards, and possibilities of each possibility. Now, although we have no control over luck, we do have a control over our knowledge. But making an educated judgment with more accurate information makes the decision-making process robust. Number 5. Precise terms of probability contextualize your level of certainty and invite others to help increase that certainty. So imagine while you are travelling cross-country, your car breaks down. You then ask the local mechanic who tows it for the diagnosis, "When will it be ready?" And she replies, "Well, most certainly by the end of next week." Now, although that sounds encouraging, how certain actually is it? It may be interpreted as meaning the mechanic will surely fix it by Wednesday morning, or anticipate it in a few weeks. Overconfidence and a lack of information affect a lot of decisions negatively. Whether or not a decision is successful depends on how you convey your knowledge. When little is at stake, hazy probability statements like definitely and could happen may be sufficient. But to ensure everyone is on the same page, it is usually preferred that these probabilities are translated to figures, percentages, or ranges when we need to be a little bit more precise. Specific probability phrases place your level of assurance in perspective and invite others to contribute to boosting that certainty. A technique known as a shock test is used to define upper and lower bounds in order to create a numerical range of certainty. After deciding on the limitations, consider whether you'd be surprised if the result fell out of this range. The range should be both tight enough to be useful and large enough to make anything outside of it absolutely shocking. Number 6. An accurate perspective comes from a blend of outside and inside view. A combination of outside and inside views will give you an accurate viewpoint. Our internal perspective is how we perceive the world based on our perspective, feelings, and beliefs. The outside perspective is just how others see the world or our circumstance. It's far simpler to point out someone else's shortcomings than it is to accept our own. We can reconcile this disparity with the aid of a perspective tracking. But how does perspective tracking work? First, you create 2 columns. Describe your choice in the first section, the outside perspective, using unbiased data and how outsiders see your circumstance. Describe the same scene from your perspective, the inside view, in the second column. Then, search for overlapping areas and irregularities. You'll have a more accurate record of the data used to make the decision once you know the result. Number 7. Identifying repetitive, low-impact decisions frees up time to spend on less frequent, high-impact decisions. A typical person spends 250 to 275 hours each year making unimportant decisions. This time can be spent on high-impact judgments if we eliminate recurring, low-impact decisions. The fact that decisions reoccur is an advantage. You gain more knowledge about what works and what doesn't work as you make more decisions. Try several things that are simple to give up, as this is one method of decision stacking. For instance, you might go on numerous dates before beginning a committed relationship. You'll have a better understanding of the qualities you seek in a mate once you determine what you like and what you don't like. Repeating decisions can teach us a lot, and the knowledge gained from making many quick judgments can also help us make slower, more significant decisions in the future. Since most judgments are made with just partial information, part of the process is making an educated guess, seeing how it turns out, and then using what you've learned to make better guesses in the future. Number 8. Diligently identifying obstacles to a potential outcome can help you avoid them in the first place. Studies have shown that negative thinking rather than positive ones can produce outcomes. You can prevent problems from occurring in the first place by diligently recognizing potential impediments. Mental contrasting is a process where you can conjure potential explanations for failure. Building on the fundamental concept of mental contrasting, we can also use mental time travel to picture oneself in the past or future depending on our choice. Another time travel device psychologist Gary Klein uses is pre-mortem. This involves coming up with the reasons why a given aim will fail before it even starts. Pre-mortem allows you to avoid predicted difficulties the first time around. Number 9. If you want an honest response when soliciting feedback, don't disclose your own opinion first. There's an increased likelihood that your viewpoint will be repeated back to you if you ask for guidance after first stating your position. This could be done out of politeness, a desire to avoid conflict, or fear of looking foolish. So don't reveal the outcome if you want to discover what another person would have done in your shoes with the same facts. They only need the information you had at the time of your decision. The author compares this to keeping your beliefs to yourself in order to prevent spreading them to others. The order in which facts are presented affects how we, the recipients, interpret and evaluate those facts. It's easy to miss the minor details that can prevent you from receiving honest criticism. We can ensure we hear helpful criticism if we take conscious steps to counteract confusing effects. Well, thanks to Annie Duke, we now know why we make the decisions we make and how we can make smarter decisions. What's your most important key takeaway? Please comment down below and share the video if you like it. Thank you, and until next time.